ready, Ben.
Okay. Hey, it's Sergeant Ben Bell, B-E-A-L-L, with the Harris County Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit. Hey, this evening, or Wednesday evening at about 11 p.m., sheriff's deputies responded to the 9700 block of Wortham Boulevard, which is located off of 290 and 1960 area. It is a abandoned Chase drive-through banking center. The call was in reference to a female body had been dumped in the parking lot over there. When deputies responded to the scene, they located the body. They interviewed the custodian at the building next door, who advised that she had heard gunshots about 9:30 that evening, and when her son came to pick her up at work, he went over, checked the parking lot, and discovered the body. Homicide was notified and responded to the scene along with our crime scene units, and we were still investigating that case when the call came in over here at the 11500 block of Deep Meadow. We are about 2.5 miles from the original scene. A 12-year-old female called in, advised that her cousin had shot and killed her mother and her grandmother, and that the grandmother's body had possibly been dumped at a different location. We were able to provide patrol with information that after we reviewed the video cameras at the building adjacent to the Chase Bank drive-through, that we were looking for a 4-door white Chevrolet pickup truck. We couldn't read the license plate number, but we were able to see that there were collapsible blue boxes in the back of the truck. So when patrol approached the house over here, they were able to see the collapsed blue boxes in the back of the pickup truck, and they were able to tell that the cases were related. They were able to recover the 12-year-old from the house without incident, and a short while later, her cousin, who is a 25-year-old white male, exited the residence. He was taken into custody. He had a firearm on him and a knife. He was taken into custody without any incident and is being transported down to the homicide unit to be interviewed. The 12-year-old advised that her mother was deceased inside the residence. Deputies entered the residence under exigent circumstances to check on the welfare of the mother and located her deceased in one of the bedrooms. We are in the process of obtaining a search warrant to process the house and to process the truck, where the male had been transported down to the homicide unit, where we are going to interview him and seek charges against him for capital murder.
So the sheriff tweeted out that the 12-year-old had called and said she had just been sexually assaulted. What was that about?
It was, she stated she had been sexually assaulted along with her mother and grandmother being murdered. So she has been transported to a hospital where she is being interviewed and a medical examination is being conducted.
Is this by the cousin?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any indication at this point of were they in a fight or how this whole thing started?
There have been numerous calls for service over here to the residents, some of them including the cousin who was charged at one point with criminal trespass over here. We understand that he has some drug issues and is not welcome over here at the house. So how he came to be over at the house this evening, how long this has been going on, we don't know at this point. We're still in interviewing people in regards to the investigation. We're still waiting on the medical examiner's office out here once we get our search warrant signed, and then we'll be back to interviewing neighbors and other people involved in this.
You know,
So the
there's a lot.
25-year-old, go ahead.
You know, there's a lot to this. I mean, a mother's dead, a grandmother's dead, a 12-year-old calling about this. Can you just kind of talk about, you know, the situation in general and, you know, how this played out?
Well, like I said, we had originally responded to a body in the parking lot over at the old Chase Bank drive-through. At that point, we did not have any suspect information other than the fact we were looking for the four-door white Chevrolet pickup truck and the blue with the blue containers in the back. We were still out on that scene that came in, you know, shortly after 11 p.m. when we received the call over here. And so the patrol units that responded to this scene had been out on our original scene, and so they recognized the white pickup truck, and so once they looked at the truck, they realized the cases were related. Fortunately, they were able to recover the 12-year-old without any further injury to her. She's been transported to a local hospital so that she can be interviewed by a sane nurse, and all the evidence related to a potential sexual assault can be recovered. Because we had information that the mother was inside the house. Deputies entered the house to check on her welfare. They determined she was deceased, and so they backed out of the house, secured the house, and we're now obtaining a search warrant to process the house because we have two deceased persons. It's a capital murder case on that end of it. The suspect was transported down to the homicide unit. He's waiting for investigators to get down there to interview him, and we're waiting on a search warrant to process the house. It's been, you know, it's been a long night so far, and we'll be working late into the day.
So he'll be facing possibly two capital murder charges.
Correct.
And a possible sexual assault charge, do you?
Yes.
Okay. Also, the 25-year-old, he is the grandson of the grandma killed too?
We haven't had a chance to talk to him, and the little girl was transported from the hospital to the hospital shortly after we got to the scene over here. We were having to finish up on our other scene, and so it's our understanding that he is the 12-year-old's cousin, and he is the nephew of the 42-year-old mother. And so what the relationship is with the grandmother, I don't know if he's another grandchild or exactly what the relationship is, but they do have the same last name.
And just to be clear, both were shot and killed here, but the grandma was taken to the abandoned.
Well, that was the initial information we have, but from reviewing the video, it appears that the grandmother was actually shot and killed at the bank.
Do we know if the grandmother lived here?
Yes, the grandmother lived here with her daughter and her granddaughter.
So there was a gap. You said that first call was about 11 p.m. and then the next one, was that shortly before 3?
Yes, there was the original call came in that units responded to over at the bank at about 10:30. The custodian reported hearing the gunshots at about 9:30, and then we reviewed the video from the adjoining business. That's where we obtained the description of the truck, and then the call came in over here at the house at almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was the original report was that the 12-year-old was calling in saying that her mother and grandmother had been murdered, and that the suspect was asleep in the house. So apparently she was able to get away from him and then make the phone call calling 911.
So she knew her grandmother was murdered. Did he tell her that since she was...
We haven't had a chance to interview him, so I'm not real sure exactly where that information came from.
The suspect himself, was there a struggle? Did he come out? Did you guys
He
bust
he
in?
he
or-
came, he came out of the house while the deputies were preparing to make entry in the house, and surrendered without any real disturbance. We do have what we believe to be the murder weapon is now in our custody. He was armed when he came out of the house, and so we have what we believe is the murder weapon. We won't know until we get additional firearms testing done on it, but we do have the weapon and we have the suspect.
So you guys have a gun, and you mentioned a knife earlier? Or?
He had a knife on him.
Okay.
So
But he just shot both of them. He didn't.
yes, yeah, both of them were shot. There was some additional trauma to the grandmother, but what type of trauma that is, we won't know until the medical examiner's office has a chance to do the autopsy.
How is the child doing right now? Any report on that?
She was transported to the hospital, and we're just going to have to wait till we have an investigator talk to her.
But a traumatizing experience for her, correct?
Yeah, I mean, she knew that her mother and grandmother were dead. Whether she actually witnessed her mother being killed or how she came to find out that her mother had been killed, I do not know.
And the assault happened before or after the murders? Did the sexual assault happen before or
I
after?
do not know. We haven't been able to interview her.
Thanks, Ben. Okay. Anything else we'll put out before 11 o'clock? If we do get it, we'll put it out before 11.
Thank you.
Thank you.